Welcome to the Successful Home Inspector Podcast, where we discuss everything you need to know about home inspection from A to Z. Brought to you by Preston, Sandlin, and Home Inspection Carolina. We're here to share some success stories and some not so successful stories. Some things we can all learn from, and maybe, just maybe, we can help each other and raise the profession. So sit back, turn up the volume, and enjoy. Now, here's your host of the Successful Home Inspector Podcast, Preston Sandlin.
Ask some tough questions, but it's going to be a fair, because Anyway, all right. So I'm going to introduce us and all that kind of stuff, and we'll get started because I know time's valuable. Is that cool?
Great.
And it's make sure I'm saying it right, Matt. That last name's what gets me.
It's Ehrlichman.
Ehrlichman. So it's kind of like the silent Ehrlichman. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Okay, you ready?
Ready.
All right, listeners. Well, I am here with a true entrepreneur. It's pretty. This guy has a pretty impressive resume. Matt Ehrlichman of Porch. I'm going to give you a little background on him, and I'll let Matt fill in some holes. This guy's 10 years younger than me, but yet has built I think a $60 million company, Thrivia or something like that. And I guess
Yeah, that's right, Thriva.
Yep. He was 2014 USA Today Entrepreneur of the Year. Has done a lot of great things. I mean, been interviewed by Entrepreneur, Forbes, and I've been interviewed by my local news station. That's about it. So, pretty impressive resume there, Matt. And he has started Porch, which I'll let him explain that and what and all they do. And I'm sure the audience, which is mostly home inspectors, we'll get to the meat of it. I will excuse him for being a Seahawks fan because I'm a Panthers fan.
Should we end this podcast right now?
Yeah, no kidding. Well, at least you're not an Atlanta Falcons fan. But
yeah, I agree with you on that one.
And curious thing, when I was doing my research prior to interviewing you, I wanted to know all. Your grandfather was I think if this is correct, was to Nixon, was an advisor to Richard Nixon. Is that correct?
Yeah, he was actually what was the title? He was in charge of domestic affairs, back in the late 60s and early 70s.
Wow. That's really cool. The reason that kind of caught my attention is there's this guy, I inspected his house a couple of years ago, and we treated it for termites. So I went yearly to this guy's house to, do the yearly termite inspection. And so anyway, long story short, I'm walking through his basement. He's got all these daggone pictures, man. And they're like, cool as all get out. And I'm like, finally I asked him, what the heck did you do? He was one of the helicopter pilots for H-1 or, the helicopter one for Johnson, Nixon, and Ford. And coolest guy ever. And he always, every time I went to his house, man, he was like, it was George, I can't remember his name right now, but, he would always offer me a beer. So I'd always make it my last stop of the day. And that guy, he had some stories, man. He had some stories. But anyway.
That's awesome.
Well, I introduced you there, Matt. Sorry, I didn't mean to take us down that rabbit hole, but fill in the gaps there and tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, that's great. So you did a pretty good job. I mean, I've been a technology entrepreneur, I suppose, my whole life, my whole career. I, like you said, started a company, Thriva, when I was at college, and did have a good run. I've been certainly blessed along the way. And had some good fortune. After that, I actually had helped build a much larger company. So the company that acquired Thriva, we scaled it from 350 people to 2,700 employees, and took it public. And that was 7 years ago now, I suppose. So I had a really good run there, building a much larger company, and then started Porch 5 years ago. This will be my last company that I start. I promised my wife that, actually. It's not easy to do. And the reason we did it is we were in the process of building a home for our family. And we've got 3 young kids now. We had one at the time, and we, it was just so painful, like, to go through the process. You have no idea how much things should cost. You have no idea who you should be using. And it became very clear to me as I dug into the home that despite it being people's biggest, it's all of our biggest asset in our lives, the biggest investment we'll make, and yet it's super painful, and there's a lot of anxiety, and it's just no doubt in my mind that over the next, several years, 3, 5 years, however long it takes us, that is going to change. Like it is going to be easy for people to be able to, to move into a new home, to be able to maintain their existing home. And so that was the whole purpose, to starting the company. For me, what I was trying to do, and this probably will give you context for other things we can talk about. Like the whole reason for doing this is to go and try to make a dent, in the world. I didn't have to go and build another company. I've been very fortunate with the past, but I wanted to go and try to solve a real problem that exists out in the world that I can kind of look back on when I'm old and feel proud that we fixed something. And so I became very passionate about the home and fixing this problem. And so anyway, 5 years ago, Porch was born. We launched 4 years ago, 4 years and 2 months ago. And so it's been this really fast engine that we've grown and we've built with all kinds of problems along the way. Like building any company, it's never, just all smooth sailing. It's hard to be able to build really good products for customers. But we're at a point now where we're, north of 700 people that are, working at Porch and, and building really awesome products that consumers and homeowners and movers really love. And I'm happy to tell you more about the company, certainly, but that's the high level.
Sure. Well, and I don't know if you said this or somebody inferred this. I was watching one of the videos that kind of what you're trying to do is sort of like a Pinterest combined with actionable items. Like you see something on Pinterest, like stories or something, remodels. I would like something like that. How do I get in touch with the contractors or whatever to make that happen? Is that an accurate kind of what you're going for sort of thing there?
I would frame it a little bit differently. We've had lots of different, press, label, Porch in different ways. Some have done the LinkedIn for the home. Some have said the Pinterest combined with something else for the home. The words that we use internally and what we're building is we're trying to be the partner for the home. So we're not comparing ourselves to any other companies. What we're trying to do for homeowners is to give them someone, to give them a company and actually give them a home assistant, that is their partner for the home where we're there for them. We'll be able to track, and let them know when it's been 6 months and they change their air filter and, want to see if we want them to do that for them, or when it's time to winterize their home because it's getting really, really cold before their pipes break. We'll be able to ping them and just see if they need help. Or most of all, to be there for them when they need a project done. And so what Porch has done is we'll help homeowners with really anything that they need. Their home assistant is trained to be able to help them if they want to get a big project done, like a big remodel, or, they need to change out their roof because it's been over 15 years, or if it's just a small, they want their TV mounted, really small projects. Porch is the professional, and we are able to set the price and be able to, provide 100% satisfaction guarantee to the consumer. And, we get it done. And the satisfaction ratings for that are just off the charts. Last month was, 9.42 out of 10 stars in terms of, how happy consumers were with that experience. And so, we're proud of that. So we're really good at being able to help people, get whatever kind of job done they would like done for their move or for their existing home.
Okay. Well, Matt, I definitely see, the attraction there for the consumer. So how do you guys make money? I mean, you have to make money. I mean, you have to, pay all those employees and all their benefits. And all that.
Yeah.
How does Porch make money?
So at the end of the day, we make money when we help homeowners with services they need help with. So we think we really like, our revenue stream, because the more services that homeowners need help with, the more money we generate. And so it's this really high, integrity, experience for them where we become really, really good at helping consumers, and the better and better we are at being able to help them and delivering a great experience, the more our company grows, the more revenue we can generate. So when we help them with services, there's two ways that we'll help them. So if we're, connecting with a consumer, they're coming to our site, they're talking to their home assistant, they text their home assistant, any way that we interact with the consumer, either Porch will be the professional for these small jobs, we will be able to say, okay, great, you did clean your gutters, perfect, we're happy to help you, cost $99, get somebody out there for a couple hours that can go ahead and do that. We've done all of the vetting, the background checking, all that stuff to make sure that person, is really good, and we back that. We provide that guarantee to the consumer. We'll get paid. We'll pay that consumer. Other times for larger projects, we get paid when we introduce the consumer. Typically for larger projects, consumers want to get introduced to 2, 3, maybe 4, different companies in order to be able to compare quotes. And depending on what the consumer wants, we'll introduce them to a few, companies. So we'll get paid, by the company for that introduction, for generating that quote, and then the consumer, has what they need to be able to make a decision in terms of what they want to do for their home. And as I said, the consumer then wants more choices if they didn't find the right person. No problem. We'll help them with additional choices.
Sure. So let me be clear on this: the consumer doesn't pay you, correct?
Correct. The only product that we offer to consumers that's a paid product is a version of the Home Assistant called Home Assistant Gold, where they have much more attention and time from our Home Assistant, where that person, provides them 24/7 support. We give them $100 of handyman services and more. And so that is a paid product for the consumers, but a vast majority of revenue, is paid not by the consumer, but by the contractors to us. And for the most part, what consumers use is a free service. But yes, for the most part, we get paid by contractors.
So you make your money by, you said yourself, you introduce the consumer to 2 to 3 companies per job, so they can choose and compare prices. So you're selling 2 to 3 leads to vetted people, as you say. So you're selling 2 or 3 leads per job, so that the consumer can benefit. Is that correct?
Depending on what the consumer wants. So sometimes if they only, for small jobs, usually consumers don't want to talk to 2 or 3 companies. And so Porch is able to be the professional, provide them a price. They pick their date and time, and we're not giving the information to anyone.
Right.
Sometimes for larger jobs, the consumer might only want to get one quote.
All right.
And then that's perfectly fine. We'll just get them one quote. It really is just based on what the consumer wants.
Matt, I want a new roof. I sign on the Porch. I want a new roof. I want 2 to 3 contractors to give me estimates on that. How much does a contractor have to pay for that? Each one of those contractors have to pay for those leads.
So for a new roof, all of the pricing varies depending on if it's a lead or a call or a quote request. It depends on the service type and the geography. So in that example, I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's probably about $30, give or take. That the contractor will be paying for that introduction.
So each contractor pays $30.
I think it's about $30. I don't remember specifically for that service type. And again, it varies depending on the region of the country, the area of the country.
What's the
New York City is going to be very different than
Yeah. What's the conversion rate on that? Like, if I'm a contractor, if I'm a roofer, and I'm buying roofing leads from you, what are you going to tell? That's my question. I mean, you're going to sell me this lead for $30. What's my conversion rate on that? You know what I mean? It's
about 20%, although I would say it varies dramatically. So what we find with contractors is those that, contact every customer and contact them, fairly quickly within a couple of hours, the ROI for them is just off the charts.
If I buy 5 roofing leads, I'm probably going to get one, right? At 20%.
Yeah, give or take. I think that's a reasonable estimation. Generally, from an what contractors will be thinking about is from an ROI perspective.
I do have a question about the vetting.
Yeah.
You guys, and I'll give you a credit. You guys have never called me trying to sell me, but every home inspector will tell you, and I know a bunch of contractors, home advisors called us. Service Magic, a couple of others. And I'm not so sure that's vetting as much as just somebody who paid for the lead. And in fact, and I give you guys credit. It wasn't you guys. It was Service Magic or Home Advisors, one of those. They kept calling me. I just didn't call them back. I didn't call them back. Every contractor that I know will give you the same story. And finally, one day, they were like, well, I guess you don't want any more business, or something left that on my mind. And I was just irate. I called them back that time. So tell me, how does this vetting, I mean, I think that's great that you vet them, but, that's great if every single person wants to buy leads. But, from my standpoint, I know in the home inspection field, not everybody buys leads. In fact, they're kind of down on that, to be honest with you, because I'm on all the boards and, they're like, well, what do you think about this? It's not super positive. I'm going to be honest. So, how do you vet them? Curious how that works.
So I want to hit on a couple of things in there if I could. So first, as related to inspectors. So to your point, Porch has never had, selling leads to inspectors as a focus of our company. And right now, us, Porch getting involved in the inspection industry has literally zero to do with us trying to sell leads to inspectors. In fact, I just in the last couple of days gotten feedback. I'm just trying to meet lots of people in this industry because we're looking at it as truly being a part of this industry, being a friend of the industry. And feedback was, hey, just stop selling leads to inspectors completely. Honestly, that might be the very thing that we're going to do. Because
I was going to suggest that since you have all of our information, that the optics on that don't look good. I'll tell you.
Yeah, and it's not a core part of our business. It's not the focus. It is zero to do with why we're building products and offering some pretty cool things for inspectors. What we have learned, is that we're really good at helping homeowners move into their homes, and we delight the heck out of them. And we've got great products, better products than anybody else has, to be able to help that process, make that easy for homeowners. Inspectors are meeting, these homeowners. We think that we can help inspectors have great value for their business, offer them a lot of benefits, give really cool things for their homeowners that improve the experience for homeowners, and that's just a win for everybody. So that's been our total focus. And part of that, and the feedback that we're getting from the inspection industry is, hey, to stop selling leads to inspectors. That's totally legit. That's great feedback. And that absolutely could be the right thing for us to do.
I'm glad you brought that up. That's one of my questions I got listed here. So you picked that one off.
Yeah. So, again, this is recent feedback. And just for those that are listening, I want them to know that there's no, secret hidden agenda here, or there's nothing that's like, we're not doing anything. We're not approaching this in any way of like trying to, trick inspectors into doing anything. Like we're just trying to help homeowners. That's why I started the company. That's the whole purpose for this. And we're happy to help inspectors grow their business. We've already offered giving free Porch profiles to them all, giving free leads and calls that come off their profiles to all inspectors. If it's just a blanket statement saying, hey, we're not going to sell leads to inspectors, that's great as well. And in fact, I'm happy to communicate that in this podcast that that's the direction that we're going to be going. So the net is that is not the core focus for us. It's not our core business, and why we're working here. So just first and foremost. Secondly, just to make sure it's clear, for all the small jobs, these things that consumers do very frequently, Porch is the professional. So we're not selling leads to anybody. But what we figured out is, hey, Porch, for these small, handyman jobs, these small services, these little repairs, like Porch is the pro. We can control that experience for the consumer, provide them a fixed price, and they don't want to have to talk to many different professionals. And because we're the pro, that's why we can offer consumers things like, $100 of handyman services, when they're going to the move. So every inspector we're working with can offer, $100 of service that these consumers can use just for using that inspector, to get their inspection done. And so anyway, just so it's clear, yes, sometimes we sell leads to professionals for bigger jobs, but often we are the pro.
Right. Well, I'll comment on what you said. As far as helping homeowners, that's why every home inspector does what they do. You know, I tell all my guys, there's, you can sit behind an office or sit in a cubicle all day, but you get to help people with their dream. The American dream is to buy a home, and we want to protect those people from, potential costs down the road.
100%.
And just to let you know, I mean, there's a lot of laws and things like, like when I do an inspection, I can't even give that report to the opposing agent, although they ask me for it. Number one, it's state law, but number two, it's also jeopardizes their bargaining position. If the opposing counsel, so to speak, gets the report. But anyway, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But let's move back to a couple of things. I do want to say this. I applaud you if you can do what you're doing. I have shared that frustration. I mean, we don't do repairs. I have found that every handyman that's good is busy. They don't.
Yep.
I mean, the ones that are available are not good. In fact, every time I find a good one, I recommend them to a couple people, and then the next time I need them, they're booked out 3 months because they're good.
Right.
Contractors are notorious for, some that aren't good and some that are. But anyway,
I'm with you. I'm totally with you on that.
Let's get down to the meat of it, because these are home inspectors that are listening. I'm sure every person here listening is familiar with ISN and what happened there, but also what you guys are trying to do, and I'll give you an opportunity to explain that. But I do want to know what brought your attention to the home inspection space. Did you approach them, or did somebody in the home inspection space approach you? How did that happen?
Yeah, good question. So we had spent a bunch of time at Porch building out products to be able to help people move into their homes. And we've got lots of, connections and relationships at a company. One of the people on our board has been deep in the real estate, industry, CEO Caldwell for a long time. And so we, from the very early days, years ago, had relationships and partnerships in the real estate industry. So we knew that part of the pain that people go through with their home is in that moving process. There's so many services that people need to do, and no one is there to really hold their hand. The real estate agent, I would even say the inspectors, everybody's kind of leaving them at that 3-yard line, and people aren't able to effectively and easily get the stuff done, get the repairs done from their inspection report and get all these services taken care of that they need to. So it's very stressful. Right. What we tried early on was through relationships on the real estate side, but what we realized is that it's just challenging. And 8 or 9 months ago, we had acquired a company called Homeowners Network, and when we had done that, I started learning more and more about the inspection industry.
Let me stop you there for just a second. You learned about Homeowners Network. Did they approach you, or did you approach them? How did you find out about Homeowners Network?
Oh man! So they had it was probably a year and a half ago. For a while, Porch was a partner with Homeowners Network, where they were using us as the services engine. So there's lots and lots of companies out there.
Okay, but who met who first? Who came to who? That's what I'm trying to get to. Homeowners Network come to you.
I guess I don't know. Someone on our business development team. They're out there, doing partnerships. We have. So I guess I would answer. I don't know. I wasn't involved in it personally at that point. We've started working with Homeowners Network as a partner, for them, where we were powering services. They might have found us, and because lots of people come to Porch asking for us to plug in our services into their site. Our business development person might have, gone to them and said, hey, do you want us to power services for you? I'm not sure who talked to who first. Okay. As an aside, Porch, we're a bit known for providing services for other companies. We do this for Lowe's and Walmart and Pottery Barn and Overstock and Bed Bath & Beyond. We just launched West Elm a couple of days ago. And so there's just across the board, there's lots of these big brands where Porch provides services because we're really good at that.
Sure.
So anyway,
go ahead.
We started a partnership with Homeowners Network. As we started that relationship, I became aware of it. We ended up acquiring Homeowners Network, and that's really what introduced us into the inspection industry. So that was about 8 months ago. through that process, we began to understand that, hey, if we offer, inspectors are meeting homeowners right at the beginning of their journey that they're about to go through for their move, and right before they're about to encounter a very significant amount of pain. And so that was a clear opportunity for us to be able to provide product.
I don't think so, but I
want inspectors.
I want to add something to what you said. They're meeting homeowners who are getting ready, but they work for the buyers typically in the way it's set up now. Which I'm going to get to that. I'm curious to how, I don't have the porch thing turned on, but I'm curious to how it works. But before we get to that, obviously you and I talked one time before, and, I didn't get off to a good start with Porch because I had the HON, the Homeowners Network, the app. People loved it. They could get this free app. It was a value add for me. You do an inspection with me, you get this free app, and you can ask questions, send pictures, and they answered it. It was great. And then lo and behold, I got blew up one day. A guy gave me a bad review, said these people are calling me left and right. They're selling my data. And I'm like, what the heck's going on? And I researched it, and I tracked it back to HON, which was sold to Porch. So I immediately turned that off. And then, 3 days later, the deal happened with ISN, which, obviously I was predisdained to you can tell, IR was already biased. But, so then you guys bought ISN. I'll let you talk about that, but, what's your response to that?
So, first of all, yes, before Porch had, really dug in and involved our operations people in the process, with HON, the calls that HON were making are not at the same customer experience quality that they are with Porch. And so that's one of the things that we could fix and do a really good job of. HON did not have the home assistant product that Porch has. So the core thing that we're giving to a customer is we're not just. I think one of the challenges the inspection industry, I think, has had a lot of history and baggage of companies calling their customer to try to sell, security or try to sell this one product to them and like pounding them on the phone to sell them things.
Well, this guy said it was anything and everything. So,
that might be right, but very much a sales call. If you think about what Porch is doing and is trying to do, we're building a relationship with this new home buyer that we're their partner for their home, right? And we're going to help them forever. And so the last thing that we want to do is to be able to annoy them. We send them an email before we ever call. If they don't want us to call, we will not call them. If they ever if they don't need any services, we won't call them and help them. And really what we're doing is we're introducing the home assistant and helping them with whatever they need. Whether that's from changing their utilities over, things we're just about to add changing their address so they don't have to pay the dollar on the USPS site to be able to go and change their address. So we're adding these capabilities, even if we don't make money, just to help the homeowner with that whole moving experience. Clearly they need services as well. We'll help them with services as well.
Well, I would say that goes 10 times for us because we live here and we're local. And they put a local bad review on us. And, I'm not sure what they've told you. You're a bright guy, Matt. You're spectacularly intelligent. You've done more in life than most people do in 10 lives. But let me tell you sort of the relationship of how the home inspection business works. This is the way it works. Guy goes out, gets his thing. He learns to be a home inspector. He's got to go out and market. I don't care what anybody says. He probably gets about 85% of his business from realtors. He probably gets another 10, 15% from referrals, word of mouth, internet. Although, I'll be honest, you Google your name. We used to all do good by, doing, search engine optimization, writing blog articles and backlinks and stuff. It seems to me now that the home advisors have taken over that, and now you got to pay them for leads, which I'm not real happy about. I think that's really bad on Google when you do a search for an industry And the top three things are, Home Advisor, Angie's List. I mean, to me, these are guys from Silicon Valley or somewhere that have come in and, it's like high-tech extortion, I think. I mean, what happened to the local guys that are doing a good job? But neither here nor there. That's a little bit of a rant for me. But, they work so hard to get a good reputation. I mean, some of these realtors, it's taken 15 years to get them. You've been trying, and finally they refer you some business. And, man, you get blown up on something like this, you lose it overnight, I mean, and, that realtor could mean $20,000, $30,000 for your business, and you're trying to send your kids to college. I mean, That's a big deal, man. That's a big deal.
100%.
I mean, we can't
So
risk.
a couple of things on this, because I think this is some of the perception about Porch that are is just not accurate, and so I'd love to have a chance to correct a couple of things.
Go ahead.
So
And I'm sorry, I'm passionate.
No,
about
it's great. I actually love it. Let's talk about exactly the meat of the issue. So I have learned a lot about this industry, and I'm still a novice. So I'm still open, ears open, learning as much as I can. But clearly, it's been made super clear the agent is that key relationship. And so a couple of things. So number one, Porch is actually trying to help inspectors with those agent relationships. So when we're out there talking to, big brokerages and agents, if their homeowner can get the Home Assistant Gold product for free, it usually costs $350 a year. If they can get $100 of handyman services, if Porch pays for, let's say, the buyback guarantee, and all that is free, for their homeowner.
Now, is this connected with Internachi you're talking about?
That's one of the choices. So we can give inspectors who are working with us either the buyback guarantee, either the Porch inspection guarantee, revenue, dollar off ISN, fees, or an extra $100 of handyman services, so $200 total. We can talk about the different benefit options we have, but the net is, we help inspectors strengthen the agent relationship. Number one. Number two, here's the key thing is, we have a complaint from a consumer, 1 out of 20,000 homeowners that we work with. So this is why we can do a no complaint guarantee for inspectors, or if there's a single complaint, we'll cover their ISN fees for that month, because we just don't get complaints
Well,
from consumers.
I got one. I'm 1 for 1. I must be
No,
one.
but this is before Porch had even gotten involved in that program. This is before Porch had provided the Home Assistant, package out to their customer. This is in the old HON world. So separate that from what Porch has implemented. And what Porch does in our process, it is actually quite a bit different. And I know that HON and some of the things they've done before had caused some complaints. But that was before we had gotten involved and changed that process. So that's 2. 3, here's a key data point, I think. When people were selling your homeowners maybe in the past, and might get a few percent of them to buy something, over 50% of the homeowners that we talk to use Porch to help them with one or more services. So that right there is probably one of the biggest things. They need help, and agents are really happy if, they're getting products that they like. At the end of the day, agents want their customers to get products that they like and get value, get handyman dollars. They don't want their clients to get, annoyed, obviously. And that's what we're all very aligned, I think, on that objective.
Well, there's a balance, between helping people, and obviously, I agree with that, but let's not forget we're making money by helping them. I mean, and you can't let the making money part override the helping people to where it gets out of balance. I guess
100%. Yep.
Well, let's.
But I think the key thing there is just so that you are thinking about it and others are thinking about it. Porch's mission is extremely different than others that have called these customers in the past, where they were trying to sell as much as they could on that one call. We're trying to establish a relationship where they're using us for any services a year from now, right? And so if we tick them off, it defeats the whole purpose of why I started this whole company, in the first place. And so anyway, just for context, okay. and for some key data points, we don't create complaints, and we give and people want the services, and they need help actually with their home. And so anyway, we are aligned with helping inspectors, with their agent relationships.
Sure. Okay. Let's say, I want to do that, and all that's fine. But let's say I'm another inspector that just doesn't believe in that at all, but I use ISN. Yep. Am I protected? I mean, I just don't believe in that. I'm just saying, if I am one of those.
Yeah.
And you're not going to ever contact my clients if, because I was an ISN person. I didn't ask for this. I don't want this. I'm just saying if that was.
Yes, 100%. 100%. If you do not turn Porch on in the ISN system, we will not. Porch doesn't even get the data about your customer, first of all, and your customer will never be contacted.
Well, and I saw that thing you guys put out, the thing about your one thing I wanted to ask you about that too. I saw the thing you guys said that you guarantee that you will not contact your client or their data. How about the inspection report itself? I didn't see anything.
Even when that's on, even when you turn on Porch still doesn't get the inspection report. So in no situation will Porch get the inspection report unless, I suppose, we're talking to the homeowner and the homeowner wants to send that to their home assistant themselves. But no, the inspection report is never being sent from ISN to Porch ever. So,
would you be willing to, with that thing that you guys wrote, the thing that your people are finding, would you be willing to also add that the data will not be used or in any way as well?
Yes, 100%, because that's exactly what it is.
Okay.
And on top of that, not only will it not be used, when let's say you do opt into Porch, there's been questions of, okay, if I do opt into Porch, is Porch going to be selling or sharing my data then with other people? And the answer is 100% no. We will never sell nor share your customer's data with anyone unless your customer specifically asks for help with services. And we're going to connect them, obviously, then with some people to help them with those specifically requested services. But we will never sell, the customer data. And let me, add some meat to that comment so people really know it. If we ever sold we power services for Lowe's and for Walmart. If we ever sold or shared customer data, we would get annihilated. These companies have dug in and looked at our business and in detail, looked at our systems in detail, and there is no chance that we would be able to power services for brands like these if we ever have the ability or would ever sell or share customer data. So I can't say that more strongly. And I understand why people are concerned about it, given the history maybe in the inspection industry, but I just can't add more strongly that it's just not the case. ISM will never send data to Porch unless you're opted in, you want to participate, unless you think the benefits are worth it. You think it can help you with your agent relationships. If you are opted in, Porch will never sell nor share that data.
The data or the inspection report.
And Porch never gets the inspection report in the first place.
But they will never use it, ISN data. Nobody will ever use the inspection report, correct?
ISN will never send Porch the inspection report. That's right. It is not data that we get.
It will not be used. I'm hoping I'm not getting hung up on
it will not be.
Because you said earlier you said earlier in the interview something about a 15-year-old roof needing to be switched out, and that caught my mind. Because in these reports, it's chock full of the age of appliances and stuff like that, and it seems like there's great value in knowing how old the roof is, how old the water heater is, and how old the thing, because things have life expectancies. And that's well and fine, but are we crossing a line here, with people's confidential information? You know what I'm saying?
100%. And I don't want them, homeowners or inspectors, to have any concerns about this. I'm drawing as hard a line as I can, which is that inspection report will never be sent to Porch. Now, here's how the process works when we're talking to the homeowner. The home assistant's talking to the homeowner. They'll ask them, hey, how did your inspection go? Hey, what came up from your inspection? Are there things that I can help with? If the homeowner wants to send their report, obviously, to their home assistant to help them with that stuff, I think we all would agree that's perfectly fine if the homeowner wants to send that information themselves. But only the homeowner is the one that should be able to decide, that, and we're totally supportive of that.
All right, while we're talking about that, and I want to go back to something else. What you just said, only the homeowner, and you're correct, and it should be elective. Here's the problem I have. I'm not sure how you guys do this, though, because we're doing the inspection. Most of the reports you have on ISN or, whatever, they're for buyers. They're for buyers, and the seller's the one who's doing the repairs usually. How does that work? You understand what I'm saying? You don't have the seller's information. How does that work? How do you? You got the buy. Let's say I wanted to do the thing. I wanted to opt in. I don't, but if I did, how does that work? Because I do a buyer's inspection. the buyer is my client, and I find all this stuff wrong, but the seller's the one who's doing the repairs. You know this stuff's wrong or whatever, but you don't have the person's information who's actually doing the repairs. I mean, how does that work?
Well, let's get back to you and your business a little bit, because I'd love to be able to understand, how Porch set this up so it's something that's great for you. Let's talk about the seller. So one of the things that we do, we first started talking about with ISN when we started that as a side, it's a partnership, and we did invest money into ISN just to clarify the relationship a little bit. When we started talking to Dan and Chris, one of the first things that we were and remain most excited about is a feature called the repair request list. And so how this works is, after the inspection report, ISN has a feature that they have had in place for a little while now with Home Inspector Pro, where there can be a repair request list, made, and that is it's in the real estate dashboard for the agents to be able to go back and forth with essentially that part of the process, that negotiation. There is no doubt this part of the process is extremely antiquated right now, where agents are writing stuff down on paper and shipping this back and forth, and that is going to change. And so this is part of what Porch can help with. What Porch can help is when it goes to the listing agent, and you're using the repair request list. If the listing agent or the seller wants to get services done with Porch, great, there's going to be an option in there for them to be able to see estimated price range and be able to click a button to either have Porch come out and do it or to get quotes from other professionals.
So it's the listing agent that you're contacting for this.
So yeah, the way that the process works today is that the buyer agent gets the information obviously from the inspection report.
Right.
And today they write stuff down on a piece of paper and send that over to the listing agent, send them an email with it, and they go back and forth. We're just talking about streamlining that process so that automatically the stuff from the summary is available in the repair request list for the buyer's agent to use.
Listing agent says, yeah, sure, I would like some estimates on this. Then those things are sold to contractors as leads, and then contractors contact the listing agent or the seller.
It all depends on what the listing agent would want. So they could choose if they want the seller to manage that process, if they'd like to manage the process for the seller, or obviously sometimes they just negotiate with the buyer to take some dollars off the purchase price, and then the buyer is stuck with making those repairs later.
I can see that.
It's really up to them.
Yeah, I can see that being valuable. Okay. I just had some questions about that. All right, that's. Now is it 2 or 3 to get competitive estimates? So, I mean, it's both sides of the sword. I could be ugly and say you're selling it 3 times, but the other side of it that's good is you're getting 3 estimates. I guess that's. Well,
again, it all depends on what the consumer wants. Right. At the end of the day, I mean, if it's a big project, if there's a big repair they need to get done, we all should get multiple estimates. Usually consumers want to, right, to be able to figure out what the right options for them and who they want to choose. For small stuff, and a lot of times it's, okay, great, there's a hole in the drywall or whatever it is. In those things, Porch can actually just do the work ourselves, so we don't need to, get any other contractor involved. We can just go ahead and say, okay, it's $99 is what the fixed price is, and we can go ahead and make that little repair.
Sure. But if the listing agent says, no, I got my own guy, it's shut down, right? I mean,
yeah, of course. Yeah, it's all their choice on if they want to use it. But
I mean, some definitely
have
would.
A guy for.
Some definitely
would. Go ahead.
Some definitely would. I do, just from experience, and again, I'm not trying to beat you up, man. I'm just trying to. I've been beat up and cut every which way you can, and dude, I tell my inspectors, how they season meat? They cut it up and rub salt in it and beat it with a hammer, and that's pretty much how home inspectors are seasoned too. I like what you're saying. I could see the estimate. I do see one possible, but I guess you could put. Here's my thing. They always ask us to give estimates on what the repair is, and then if they go into, let's say your person gives an estimate, and then they go into the closing saying, hey, this repair's $5,200, and they ask for that amount back at closing, and then it comes back, and once they get into it, it turns out to be $7,800. Then they're kind of like, hey, where's my other $2,000? I mean, I'm not trying to be,
Well, this
I'm
is
just
actually
telling
the
you,
nice
I've
thing
been
about how this
beat
is
up
the
with
nice
that.
thing this could work. The nice thing about how this can work is that it's actually coming from the contractors who are going to do the work.
Right.
Right. And so instead of it being somebody else,
Yeah.
Making estimates, these are the people that are on the hook for getting the work done. Right.
Sure.
And when Porch provides the quote for all the small things, when we're the pro, that's our price. That's the fixed price we're providing to them, and so we get it done, for that price.
Now, let me ask you this. Could go either way. They could be totally happy with this contractor who did the stuff. Everybody's great. Or, they could be totally ticked off. He didn't do what he said he was going to do. He charged me more. You've heard it all. He didn't show up. I gave him money for materials. I mean, I've heard every single thing. Who gets the fallout from that? Is it Porch? Is it the home inspector who was connected to this thing? Who's going to get the bad review?
Yeah, totally. So first of all, one of the things that the concerns that we heard from some inspectors early on is, okay, sometimes when a contractor shows up, they're pointing out, things, other deficiencies that weren't in the inspection report, and there are some inspectors worried about liability. We've just taken that whole concern off the table. So there's any liability that's created back to inspectors from contractors that Porch sends out, Porch is absorbing all of that liability. So, period. Because that's on us. We're not trying to create, difficulty or challenge or liability for inspectors, obviously. We're simply trying to help them and help their customer. And so we're happy to just take that off the table. When Porch is the professional and when we send out pros to do work, Porch provides guarantees to the homeowner. And so at the end of the day, we have, policies in place for the homeowner to make sure that they're protected. And so that's part of our business. That's actually been part of our business for years now.
Okay.
Where we can provide that assurance to homeowners.
I want to back up on something you said, the buyback guarantee. I think that's a good deal. But what if the person buys the house and they have $20,000-$30,000 problem? They say whatever, but they don't want you to buy it. It's the right house, the right neighborhood, the right schools. Mama lives around the corner. They don't want you to buy the house back. I mean, they want their problem fixed.
Yep.
They want to stay in the house. Do you guys have an answer for that?
So we're offering inspectors who are working with Porch, several options. And because at first we had, one product that we were offering to inspectors that were working with us, and we, heard feedback over the last couple of months. So we're offering a choice of products. So let's talk about that, because I'd even love, for your business to get a sense for what is a priority for you. So if you're working with Porch, which means you're introducing, you flip it on an ISN and you're introducing, homeowners to and giving them a home assistant, we will offer several things. So one, we give them the whole home assistant gold package for free. So, and that's free forever, by the way. So it's not like it's a trick where we're, waiving, the first years of fees and we're going to charge them the $29 a month, for year two. You can just tell them, hey, by using, using me for your inspection services, this is free forever. That includes $100 of handyman services that they can use to be able to get their TV mounted, to get a little repair done, whatever they'd like. So, first of all. In addition, based on the feedback from inspectors, we've given several different choices for inspectors to be able to opt into as an additional benefit. So one of those is the buyback guarantee. So some inspectors really like that. It really makes them look good to real estate agents when they're out there talking to agents that, hey, I'm so confident in my services that if there's a deficiency that I had missed, it's a material deficiency, we'll actually buy back the home. So this is the partnership with Internachi. This is what we've been working on with them. Nothing else. And Nick's actually going to be announcing that here actually shortly in the next couple of days on what we're doing. And so that is, that's exciting. But some might not want that. The other option is the Porch inspection guarantee, and this is close to what you're talking about, Preston, where this is the original product that we had announced. So we originally called it Miss It, Fix It. We got great feedback from inspectors, which is don't talk about us missing stuff.
Yeah, if you
noted. Yeah, not our finest moment, right. Probably to name it like that. And so we've updated that to the Porch inspection guarantee. And how this works is if there is a deficiency that shows up later, that was there during the inspection but wasn't noted on the report, Porch will actually go back and we will have that fixed up to the cost of the inspection. And so, for repairs, we can go ahead and offer that product that's free for all inspectors who are working with us. And so you can choose whichever of those guarantees you think is going to be the best for you with your agents or with your homeowners. Obviously the buyback has more sizzle, and so far in our conversations with agents and brokerages, they really like that. But I agree with you that sometimes people might not want to sell their home back and just want to get something fixed. And so we're basically, at the end of the day, we're leaving it to inspectors to choose what the right product is for them. Instead of those two, if you didn't want those, Porch will sponsor some of your fees on ISN. So we'll take $1 off of the fees if you just want to reduce your costs. That's another option for people. Or lastly, some inspectors have been getting paid for security installations. And some have said, hey, I'm happy to come over, but I want to continue to make this revenue stream. And so that's another option where we can continue to provide revenue for you, and if you'd rather do that than the guarantees. And that's perfectly fine also. And we'll continue to give $200 per install. One thing that we added, one last comment, and then we'll wrap this section. But one last thing we've added is some inspectors have said, hey, if I'm giving the customer $350 in value for home assistant, I'd love to be able, and that includes $100 of handyman services, I'd love to be able to give an additional $100 of handyman services. So I can basically tell the homeowner, which is, hey, use me, pay $400 or so for an inspection, and I'll be giving you, $450 in value, which includes $200 of handyman services that you can use. So that's the last option, which is an extra $100 of handyman services on Porch, which basically is going to cover, a huge portion of the actual inspection fee, for the consumer. We are offering inspectors, that are coming on board in the month of November, because we want these early inspectors, obviously, on board and actually just telling the rest of the inspection community that Porch's products are actually really liked, by homeowners. And so we're letting them choose one of the guarantees or one of the benefits, and still giving them that second $100 of handyman services. So anyway, that's the stuff that we're doing to hopefully show where our heart is on this, and legitimately trying to offer choice for inspectors and things that'll help their business and help their agents while helping their homeowners with their move.
Right. Well, Matt, let's say I wanted to invest in Porch. How do you it's not an IPO, yet. I think it's going to be, correct me if I'm wrong. So if I wanted to invest in Porch today, how does somebody invest in Porch?
Well, I've not had that question yet from an inspector, but it's a private company, so we typically don't, let people invest. So there's no way to invest unless we were to open it up to inspectors. I suppose it's an interesting thought. I just haven't considered it as a way to be able to let inspectors invest.
Well, Nick D'Amico says he's an investor in it. How did he invest in it?
Yeah, he and I started talking. We talked about the buyback guarantee, and there was enough concerns from the inspection industry that his idea actually is like, hey, look, let me invest. That will give me deeper insight to make sure, into the company, to make sure that nothing weird is happening with the data, or Porch isn't selling anything, so he can get deeper access.
Does he have does he have a seat on the board or any kind of voting thing?
No, he's no seat on the board, or no voting or anything like that. He's an advisor, and we give him assurance and views to make sure that we're doing what we say we're doing, which is we're not selling the data or doing anything improper, nor will we ever. And that really was the purpose there of allowing him to invest.
Do you guys, has he talked to you, or are you part of this free inspection thing that he's doing?
I'm glad you asked, because I know people, again, think that we're behind that somehow. But no, we're not behind that. I got a call from Nick about that free inspection program the morning after, on my drive into work, actually, after he had announced that. Was not aware at all of that. So this is what 2 weeks ago, maybe, or something like that. And so no, Porch is not involved in that program.
Are you gonna, if he starts doing that, or is Porch gonna be buying any data from that?
I've posted about this, and I've actually did a video with Nick where I talked about this, in depth, because there are concerns about that. So the only way that Porch will get involved in that program is if it's set up, to have the support set up correctly, to have the support of the inspection and the inspection industry. So legitimately, we're trying to be a friend to the industry, and there are certainly legitimate concerns in my mind right now about the program. I think that Nick is hearing those concerns and is working through that with many different people. So it will depend. It'll depend on what the program looks like. If it's not something that's set up correctly and that is going to work for the inspection industry, then the answer is no. If it is, then Porch is hired all the time right now by sellers to help repair their home and get it ready for sale. And certainly that's something that we can help them with. Yeah, as of right now, where it is today and what's been announced today, the answer would be no.
Could I ask you what you said you had some concerns with it? Could I ask you what some of your concerns are?
Oh, I think some of these are even getting cleared up with the work that Nick is doing to try to clarify this stuff. I think that there was just a lot of concerns, and I was probably in the same camp, which just stem from the lack of clarity and intent, behind it. Mm-hmm. Is it going to impact, inspectors being able to get new business? Is it going to reduce the number of inspections, out there in the community? I think he's very clearly, fixing. I think that the way that he's going to try to do it is it will increase the number of inspections in the community to have listing and then still have the buyer side, inspections that are happening. But there's concerns about that. There are concerns about price.
If a millennial buys a house, mm-hmm. They download a $39 report off Zillow or wherever, and I could see kind of like Carfax or something like that. When I bought my Jeep, I got the Carfax. I wanted to know if it been in a wreck or a flood car or anything like that.
Totally.
And I know I looked at y'all's website. Y'all do something. I'm surprised they don't do clue reports on houses. I don't know if that's to know if there's ever been a claim or something. The problem I see with that is, well, I'm sort of getting off on different tangents here, but a Carfax or something like that is a very objective thing. It's a white or black, yes or no, this or that, and every inspection report and every inspector is different. I mean, it's going to be way different, and your quality of inspectors is different too. And are you getting like the best inspector? Are you getting the least expensive inspector that did it? Whatever. But the millennial buys this house for $39 report, and millennials. I mean, I have two teenage daughters. Everything's free these days, but it's not really free. They base their home buying decision on this $39 report. They get in there and they have some problems, $10,000, $15,000. Now it goes to court, and I know that the person doing this says their contract was with so-and-so, but I mean, they gave consideration for something that they got, that they made a home buying decision on this. I mean, who's liable in your mind? I mean, I know neither one of us is a lawyer, but I mean, people will sue you even, I mean, are they going after the home inspector? Are they going after the person? I mean, who's liable here? You know what I'm saying?
Well, this is some of the stuff that I think that, some of the concerns that I think some of the stuff that Nick's working through, it will be critical. And again, I couldn't imagine Porch participating in it unless it's absolutely critical that when somebody's potential buyer is getting that report, that there is very clear, release, there that says that this is not, they can't sue the inspector, they can't use this,
You do realize if the quality is really bad, it's going to make the industry look bad, though, correct? I mean, if it gets out there and like, man, these things are terrible, I've had this problem, I've had that, it's going to make the entire industry look bad, which, I am pro home inspector. I feed my family that way, feed all the guys that work for me that way. All my friends do the same thing. I am pro home inspector. I'm not pro Porch, pro Internachi, pro Ashy, there is, I don't know if you realize, it's almost like high school. You sit at that table, you can't sit at this table. You can't, I don't like it. But I'm pro home inspector, and I want what's best for the industry. I mean,
totally. And I would say, I would say that Porch is pro homeowner, candidly, in terms of if I were to choose one thing. Like, we're just trying to. That's why I started this company, is to fix the process for them. I think that as it turns out, we're so good at that, we can partner with inspectors to be able to help inspectors' businesses and to help their homeowner. And that really is as simple as it is for us. I also do not want to get involved in any camps or politics or any of that kind of stuff that exists in the inspection industry. That is not what I'm trying to do.
No, I know you're not, and I'm not sure if you were aware of that landscape. I mean, it is a.
I've been learning a little bit, but look, I think that
your best bet is to try to be Switzerland, but even that's hard. I mean, because you'll get dragged into something.
But I think that there are situations, the relationship we have with Internachi, as an example. They have a great product, I think, with the buyback guarantee. I actually think it's really great, and lots of inspectors really like it. And the reality is, lots of agents and brokers love to be able to have that assurance because of their big.
I'm going to tell you right now, there's two organizations in this business, and they will not have anything to do with each other. And anything that goes through one organization, the other organization will not touch. I'll just tell you that. You take it for what it's worth. I'm just stating the facts.
I hear you.
I don't want to get in the middle of it, but I want to give you a heads up on that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And again, all I really am trying to do, and I think people will know this, but is trying to offer a set of options. What's been very, very clear is to provide inspectors choice. We want to set this up, and we are right now. I mean, with the conversations we're having with the franchises and large inspectors, it's clear that Porch is here, and Porch is going to be here. We're committed, to the industry, and offering home assistant gold and offering handyman, dollars and offering, these real material benefits. It's just going to be part of the process, because we're going to make it so strong, so much a no-brainer that it's just going to be out there for people. But we do want to provide the feedback that I've gotten very clearly, and I respect it and I honor it, is to give inspectors choice so they can have a bunch of these benefits. The buyback is just one. If they don't want to do the buyback, no worries. Like, they can use a different benefit for sure, but to give them choice so they can do the right things for their business.
Right. Let me ask you this, Matt, and I appreciate you doing all this, man. I know you got tons to do.
It's truly my pleasure.
I hope you realize it's my job to ask some pressing questions. I've been told, there's 2,000 plus ISN users. What happens if you guys have your IPO? Right now there's Chris and Dan that everybody knew and liked, or at least prior to this all happening. We know about that, but what happens when it goes IPO? Are all us inspectors going to be owned by Wall Street? I mean, what's going to happen to ISN? And because so many of our businesses are heavily dependent on it. I mean, can we buy it back? Or somebody in the inspection field? I mean, we just want our scheduling system back.
So a couple of things. The first thing I'm gonna take up for Chris and Dan. They have gotten. Yeah. So first of all, those guys are here. They're going to continue to be, running ISN. Nothing has changed, and they are exactly the same people. So I want to make sure a couple of things are clear. I think they have gotten a black-eyed bit unfairly because the rollout is largely from me. Like, I'm assuming that as we're providing a product that consumers are actually paying $350 a year for, and we're deciding to give that for free, that's going to be a really exciting thing. Clearly you need to provide the collateral and everything else, and we're doing that. We're doing that right now. All the collateral materials are getting rolled out so inspectors can feel really comfortable with what we're doing. But I just want you to know and others to know that I have so much respect for those two guys, and they are here, and they're just going to keep building great products with ISN, and they're really committed to that. So, point one. Point two, Porch is not going public. There's discussion of Porch's IPO. We're not going public this year. We're not going public in 2018. I would almost certainly bet we're not going to go public in 2019. So this is not like a near-term thing or something that we're thinking about internally or solving for, just so that you're aware. When Porch would go public in the future, it doesn't change anything about our company. It's another way to raise money. Anybody can then invest, in the company because it would be a public company at that point. But it doesn't change anything with Porch, what we're trying to do for homeowners, anything related to ISN. The last thing I just want to stress is, again, ISN remains a separate, company, from Porch. And while Porch has made investments, and yes, we have a partnership, and yes, we're joined at the hip and working closely with those guys, it is separate. And so just to make sure that again, everybody's clear on that. So So the ISN, we did look at different systems. Yes, it is, in our opinion, by far the best scheduling software, the best tools out there. And candidly, one of the things that Porch is providing is more engineering resources. So it's just going to get better, for inspectors. So everything that people have loved about ISN is going to continue. I just want people to know that. I want to make sure people don't take anything else in a different way than that.
Are Chris and Dan going to be here a year from now?
Absolutely. They can do whatever they want with ISN. I suppose they could quit. I would be beyond shocked if either of them were not, still leading ISN.
Are either one of them on like a buyout, like, they have a year, 3 year, anything like that?
Any of the terms that we have with those guys related to the investment, obviously I'm going to leave, confidential. That's their business. But I'll just state again, I would be beyond shocked. I think these guys are here. They're running the company. They're going to continue to. I'd be beyond shocked if they were not here in a year or two.
So are y'all? Does Porch wholly own ISN now?
So we've not disclosed, and I would always let them do this, and it would not come from me. And they've chosen appropriately, so I think, to keep all their business dealings confidential. We've not disclosed how much of a share of that company we purchased. We've not disclosed how much dollars we invested in the company. That's all confidential business dealings. I assume everybody can imagine. But we've been very transparent with communicating clearly. There's a partnership. There is an investment. Porch did write a check and is an owner, in ISN. But we're keeping the amounts obviously confidential.
Sure. I asked that once before, and I was told that that's like, somebody asking me what's in my wallet. And I disagree with that because I'm a customer of ISN. I'm a client, and I have been for years and years and years. And many of these other people are, and we got confidential information in there. This is like, the optics on this it's kind of like, my doctor's office just got bought by a pharmaceutical company. Are my records safe? They obviously have an interest in those. The optics, are a little bit. I do want to back up on.
I get it. Let me just say one thing on that real quick. I get it. I actually don't mind at all the question. Candidly, I think the question is appropriate. I think that you would agree. Let's say you were to sell your company to someone else at some point down the road. Your customer, that maybe you have an inspection report for, might also be curious about what you sold it for, and it would be your right to be able to disclose that. Whereas another company invested in your company, it would be your right to be able to disclose that.
But if I sold my company to another person who wanted to do home inspections versus, a company that sells contractor leads, obviously there's different motives for buying it there. And, you can't deny those optics. That.
No, I'm not. I'm not at all. And I respect the question. I think I don't mind the question one bit. I just want to say one last thing on it, and then we can go where you want to take the conversation. But I believe, Porch is a great partner for ISN and a great investor in ISN. And I actually think that inspectors, as they get to know us, as we do things like we're not, selling leads to inspectors and trying to just take away all of the ulterior motives that might exist that people might think are out there, and are just providing good products for you to be able to offer to your homeowners and to your agents. Give your agents credit for the Home Assistant Gold sponsorship. I think that's great to help you strengthen those relationships. I actually think it's a great partner. The nice thing about Porch is I am personally in control of the company. So yes, we raised a bunch of money, but I am in control of the board. I've architected this because of things I've built in the past to be able to be in control of this company, on an ongoing basis. And so, and what I'm trying to do is to be able to build something I'm going to be proud of. I'm not trying to do anything that has any negativity or would impact inspectors in a negative way. And I do view inspectors in this industry as, a real part of our strategy and what Porch can do, and do a really effective job in partnership with inspectors to be able to help you guys.
Sure.
And in turn to be able to help Porch get introduced to homeowners.
Right.
So that's really, that's all it's about, to me.
Yeah. Well, I did a little research, and correct me if I'm wrong. it looks like, there were a couple of rounds of investments. It looks like your two primary investors are Valor Equity Partners. It's like, it seems like 65, 75% or something. And then Lowe's is the other big part. And then there's like 16 other investors, but they're not primary partners. Is that correct? And, what is Lowe's and Valor Equity? What are they looking for out of this? I mean, I know you're the CEO and all, but you've got to report to these guys. I mean, they gave you a lot of money. What are they looking for?
No, that's a good question. So I'll go back. So I personally led our first round of financing. So our seed round of financing,
like $6 million.
We raised
or
a little.
Like that.
Yep, exactly right. Yep, we raised a little more than that. So I led that round of financing. So I wrote a large check to Porch when Porch was nothing, in the basement of a rental house. Right. And the reason that I did that is that I was able to then set up the company in terms of all of the articles of incorporation, how the board was set up, where I would control the board, on an ongoing basis forever. So even as we would raise future financing rounds, I would personally be able to be in control of the company. Because you read stories about sometimes you bring investors in and they have different motives and they're able to influence and push the company in the direction that the founder didn't necessarily want to go. And so I was able to set it up from the beginning such that wouldn't happen to Porch, so we could build the company that I wanted to build and make a difference, for homeowners that are out there.
Right.
So then Lowe's led our next round of financing, our Series A. So we raised a $27 million Series A financing. This is about 4 years ago. And you're exactly right. Valor with a number of other investors, did our Series B.
Yeah, I saw Ty Pennington was one of your investors, but not a major investor. I was like, wow.
Yeah, that's right. Though we had a bunch of people, including Ty Pennington, who participated in that round. And so that's those have been our big financing rounds to date. But the key thing that again you should know or others should know is that the motives of what drives our company and the control that drives our company didn't change, through those financing rounds because I, remain in control of the company, and we're going to build this, in the right way, in a way that we're going to be proud of.
Right. Let me ask you something. Big fear of mine, but if that's what happens, what happens. I worried one day that that we all might be doing inspections for Lowe's or Home Depot just as lead generation for them. I have a problem. Obviously, I'm biased, but, if I'm a cab driver and this is Uber, here we go. I mean, I am a capitalist. I am an entrepreneur. I just have to adjust. But my problem is, here's the thing, Matt. There's a big thing in home inspection where you're an unbiased third party. When they became licensed in North Carolina, and it's a wild, wild west in home inspection. Some states are licensed, some aren't. Both states I operate in, North and South Carolina, are licensed, and the requirements and the SOPs for each one are slightly different. But the big thing is that you work for the client. And, when it first happened, a bunch of inspectors went out and got the license. They were contractors. So they were going out, become a home inspector, and then, hey, I found all this stuff wrong, and oh, by the way, I can fix it. You can obviously see the conflict of interest there. And my worry is that, if we start doing inspections essentially for Lowe's or Home Depot or whoever, I mean, not you personally, but somebody on down the line could lean on one of those inspectors and say, hey, we get a whole lot on roof leads. Could you find more roofs? Can you find,
Totally.
When we go back to the old scenario that I think was the best, where we're inspecting for the buyer, we represent the buyer's best interest, and we don't have any other interest. But if we're essentially being paid with money from leads, is that kind of dirty money or conflict of interest money? I mean, I get it. Stuff needs to be fixed and stuff needs to be found, but what prevents that from going really bad,
I think it's a great set of thoughts. I actually think that's why, Porch is a big net positive for this industry, because we're not trying to go and do inspections, and we're not trying to go and, Uberize this industry, right? That is not the intent. We can work together, to be able to help maintain independence, in the inspection industry. And we have every incentive to do so. We want to drive more business to independent inspecters who are working with us and helping us to be able to help the homeowner. And that is something that Porch will absolutely be doing. So there are other, big companies out there that I think would be dangerous, for the inspection industry, but Porch is just not one of them because of what we're trying to do and because what our mission is and what our intent is. I can't stress that, strongly enough. But we can work together to be able to help there.
I think, I look at it, and I when we were going back and forth on email, I said, I don't know if it'll work. The idea is, it would be a culture change, because right now it's pretty much, you make an offer on a house, the buyer gets their inspector, but there's bidding wars and things like that. It would be nice if the report was online or whatever, and it would be a culture change. There is some problems with it, though, because you're doing the inspection not for the buyer anymore, who is the person that really ultimately would be harmed if there was anything wrong with the report. You know what I mean? It definitely would be advantageous. I mean, I'm not, obviously I have my bias, but, if I was buying a house, I need to make a quick offer. There's 7 or 8 people looking at this house. I'd like to know that information. But, I want to make sure.
So right now, though, you're talking about the free, a bit of the listing inspection thing. Right now, Porch is, we've stepped back. We're not involved in that. I think there are 2 things, though, that we could agree. I think everyone would agree. And this is what Porch is trying to do right now. And this just seems so plain and clear to me.
Right.
One is that homeowners endure pain after the inspection as they're trying to move into their home. And we can collectively fix that.
Right.
If we can, it's good for the agent, it's good for the homeowner, it's good for you. We can provide, benefits like guarantees that you can offer, and we can sponsor that. Everyone should agree that the homeowners are being left in a challenging situation because it's just a fact, and we should fix it. I can't imagine a world in which we don't work together to be able to make this process easier for homeowners. Number one.
Well,
number two, I think we can all agree that when the inspection report is done, the way that the agents are trying to deal with this information, negotiate back and forth, is unbelievably antiquated and will be better. They should be able to have an estimate, from contractors. They should be able to get pricing. They should be able to negotiate back and forth. And we can do that, and that's why we had started working with ISN in the first place, is we can do that in partnership with them. And Porch is, again, it's the right company, the right partner for that. Those are the 2 things that we're focused on. That's it. And I can't imagine a scenario in which inspectors don't want to help their homeowners and be able to help also improve their business and how they position themselves to agents. That really, for us, is what we're focused on. We'll see what happens with the free inspection, listing inspection, thing in the future. If it can get, set up in such a way that, inspectors really can support it and that there's more inspections being driven and they have control of pricing and everything else. But we'll see, on that. But right now, Porch is not involved in that program.
Right. I hear what you're saying, with what Porch is doing. And quite frankly, I've had a lot of discussions with a lot of inspectors, and the consensus is, if it's not Porch, it's going to be Home Advisor. It's going to be somebody. I think the way, I think everything just has to be elective. You know what I mean? Like, if people want the help, and here's the other thing with inspectors. Some inspectors do have deals with, already have deals with alarms. ADT pays them, and back in the day, Brinks used to pay. They pay me $15 a lead, and and I know I'm being a hypocrite, but that helped me with some of my liability. I could fix a lot of problems with $15 in inspection.
Yep.
But that went away, and and there's a fine line between helping your customers and bugging the crap out of your customers. And that's always a delicate thing. I think if you had it set up in such a way, Matt, where you went to the inspectors themselves and you offered this, and it wasn't a deal where it had to be through this group or this organization. It was just them dealing with you directly. And every single thing was elective, and every single thing was pick and choose. I'm okay with this part, but I got some other deal worked on this part. At the end of the day, home inspectors got to market their local area and their local agents and their local people, and they have to keep a good reputation with those folks. And if things can be done in such a way where it is helpful and it doesn't bug the snot out of them, it would work. But if they ever get just bombarded with stuff that, you're selling my information, blah, 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 that's going to go backfire totally bad. You understand
100%. And Preston, let me just say, what you're saying and is the consistent feedback we've gotten, and is 100% what we've done. So that is the program, to be clear. So at this point, for an inspector, you're working directly with Porch. You do not have to work with International to do the buyback guarantee if you don't want to. You can choose to have any homeowner or any agent not included in it. So if you're talking to a certain agent and they don't want it, you're talking to a homeowner, no problem at all. Zero problem. We don't want to help people that don't want help. Again, the reality is that a vast majority of homeowners need help. And so let's help them. It's insane to me if we don't make this process easier, for them. And Porch has proven that we do not drive complaints, which is why we have this no complaint guarantee. Again, I'll pay you, Preston, for all of your ISN fees for a month. I'll sponsor that, if there's a single complaint in the month. And that I just can't imagine what would be a stronger statement of knowing that we're not going to get complaints, by putting our money where our mouth is, on that. So everything you're saying there in terms of it being elective,
you owe me a free month there, Matt. No, I'm just kidding.
Everything is elective. You can choose the benefit that you offer. So, I mean, what you're saying there is 100% how it's set up right now. Right.
Well, I hear what you're saying. It sounds good. I mean, the jury's still out on it, and I'm not. I'm watching. I mean, I like what you're trying to do. I think. And we are trying to help people, but we are making money. I mean, I'm not oblivious to that, but we just can't ever let the making money part override the helping people part.
I agree. Yep. And again, that comes down to making sure that it's only a net positive, that we're never driving complaints, and that we're actually not calling homeowners. If there's a few percent of people that are going to need help with services, that means it's bugging most people, right? In this situation, a majority of people actually are using, taking advantage of the offering. And again, we're going to give them just dollars. We're giving homeowners, handyman dollars they can use in their home. That only is going to strengthen your value prop to agents and the homeowners. Is by using you, they're going to get a couple $100 they can just use to be able to make repairs. And that to me is exciting. I'm obviously excited about it. So, I mean, what I would love for you or for others is this, which is just give it a try. So right now, come on board. You're going to have a couple $100 to be able to give handyman services to give to every single customer, along with the Home Assistant Gold, and then choose whatever product. If you want the Porch inspection guarantee, great. If you want me to take $1 off your ISN fees and sponsor that, happy to do it. And then give it a try. If it's not what I'd say it is, you can always turn it off, right, in the future. But in my opinion, I think we're trying to build this in such a way that it's a no-brainer for agents and inspectors and homeowners.
I mean, it sounds good. You got a hard row to hoe, though, brother, because, the way it went down didn't go over too well with a lot of home inspectors. They felt like they were forced to sign this new security agreement thing, or, they were locked out of their system, and they had to sign this new security thing. And then it seemed like they were going to be opted into this thing regardless, and that, I hear what you're saying now, but that's what you're going to have to overcome because, there's a lot of inspectors that are not happy about that.
I agree with you. And the only thing I know how to do, is to, have conversations like this, and the reality is we have the big inspectors and the franchises, that are using the Porch system, which will happen. It becomes a standard, that's out there. And, the people that are on board earlier, I'm happy to provide these additional incentives, like the extra $100 of handyman services. Because that's what we can use is just people that are out there saying, hey, this actually consumers really like it. What do you know? And agents really like it. What do you know? And so that's where I can use help certainly. But don't disagree with anything. It's just one conversation at a time, and make sure we're our hearts are in the right place to help homeowners, and that we're doing this with integrity. And at the end of the day, what happens in the world is good products speak for themselves. If homeowners really, really like it, as soon as inspectors use it, they're going to see that, as well their agents. And so that's what we have going for us.
Sure. One last thing, and I know you got to go. I did want to hit on this. I'd be remiss if I didn't. And I like all the stuff you said. I don't. I'm 50-50 on a lot of. Time will tell. Time will tell. I mean, you're certainly saying good things, but I gotta see it. I wasn't real happy with the way this thing went down. I felt like it was forced on me. I felt like that, that there wasn't going to be any kind of opt button until a lot of people started complaining about it. So you got 2,000 users or more or less, that's the number I've been given, that are initially going to be forced into this thing. And then they're complaining about it. They had to sign this new thing. And then you guys put a opt out button, which I have a hard time with it. Why was it not an opt-in button? Because that opts people by default. I mean, there was 200 or 300 people complaining about it on social media, but another 1,700 that didn't know anything about it that were opted in by default. I mean, I'm listening to all this good stuff you say, but I'm still got that in the back of my mind. I mean, what's your response to that?
Yeah. So if we were to do this again, I clearly would just do that. Would have it be an opt-in. And just so you know, for every new customer into the system, it is an opt-in process. Like we are now, it is an opt-in process. That's the approach. We think the product stands on its own. We want inspectors to use it who want to use it, and we have been very aggressive with making sure that through the ISN system and emails, like there's pop-ups, so the people are that only the people that want to be in are in. We've just wrapped up the additional benefits that we can offer to inspectors, like the buyback guarantee is one of the options that people want to use that. And so now we're rolling all that out as we speak and offering, again, like I mentioned, an extra incentive for the inspectors who are opting in with the additional Hanneman dollars during the month of November. And so just because we want to get the process started and start partnerships together. So in retrospect, 100% agree. If I do it again, I could. I can't. But we are on an ongoing basis for every new customer. It is absolutely an opt-in.
Okay. So in conclusion, because I know you got to go, and I appreciate you taking all this time. It's an opt-in for new people, and you are willing to put on that security, for people who don't, some people probably will, some people probably don't want any part of it. I mean, it's up to them, but you will put on that agreement that, you'll add the report, not just the client, but the report data will be left unused as well, correct? You said that earlier.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, Matt, is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't ask you?
No, I appreciate it. I think the questions are what some people are thinking about. I appreciate it. Hopefully people hear very clearly that it's products that homeowners really like and that your agents are going to value it. And clearly in my mind, it strengthens, the product that an inspector can offer. And so I suppose my only ask is, give it a try yourself and, experience that firsthand. There's no reason not to. And we'll provide additional benefits, Hanneman dollars for people that are for every client forever. So this is not just like a small set of clients. This will be part of your tools that you'll be able to offer, for people that join. I appreciate the conversation, Preston. I appreciate you pushing on things that people will be curious about.
Sure. If people have follow-up questions, can they email you? Or, I mean, I'm not going to, put out your personal number or anything like that. I wouldn't do that.
No, I would welcome it.
How could they? Is there
Matt? Yeah, here's my email. Here's my personal email. Matt, MATT @porch.com. So that's as easy as can be.
Okay, cool. Is there anything you wanted to ask me or anything you can, before we get done here? And again, I appreciate you taking your time. I know you're busy.
No, I suppose the only question is, and we can just follow up offline, but I'd love to have you lead the way, and I should just give it a try so you can be able to attest firsthand that it's a net positive for your agents, homeowners. But let's talk about that separate. I continue to love your feedback, and candidly, I continue to love feedback from any of your listeners, and other inspectors who are out there. Sincerely, we are here. We're going to be here, and we want to make products and offer the benefits that inspectors are really valuing. And so, if there's any feedback at all, please do let me know, and I'm happy to help.
All right, Matt. And one more time, what's the email address, Matt?
It's Matt at Porch.com. MATT at porch.com.
All right, Matt. I sure do appreciate your time, brother.
All right, everybody. Take care. Nice to talk to you, Preston. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for checking out the Successful Home Inspector podcast. You can find show links at thesuccessfulhomeinspector.com. Check out the website for special offers, information, and other resources. Thanks again for listening to the Successful Home Inspector podcast. And remember to check back for new episodes. The Successful Home Inspector podcast is brought to you by Preston Sandlin and Home Inspection Carolina.